Sam Bankman-Fried has been arrested, and his bond is $250 million. That's how much money he would have to put up in order to get out of jail. And guess what? He got out of jail. So how did he get out of jail? There are a few different ways that you can get out of jail before your trial. Most of the time, it is posting a bail. Your bail, depending on the severity of the crime, it can be $100 or it could be $1 million. In Oklahoma, typically, if you're charged with homicide, then the bail is usually at least $1 million. And really, the purpose of bail is to ensure that you show up for trial. Because if they just release you, and you can flee the state, so you can flee and never be found. And so that's the purpose of bail. And a lot of times you can have hearings in order to reduce your bail. So if your bail is at $1 million, your attorney can request a hearing to reduce that bail. Some of the factors that they go off of is your family ties to here, the severity of the crime, your prior criminal history. So they go off of numerous factors on lowering bail. But for the most part, there's a bail schedule that the judges stick to and that is automatically applied when you're arrested. So Sam Bankman-Fried has a $250 million bail, and how did he get out? Let's look at this news article right here. To be released on $250 million bail, he'll live with his parents. So he's going back to his parents' house. FTX founder was released on $250 million bond while awaiting trial for fraud and other criminal charges. Stepped out. The terms of the personal recognizant bond. So personal recognizant bond is one way you can get a bond. Usually, if it's pretty low, you can post a bond. Someone can post a bond for you. It's not a very high amount. If you don't have the necessary funds, you can get a bonds bailman. And what that will do is you put up 5-10% to that individual or that company, and they'll cover the rest of it, and they'll charge you interest. So you really have to make sure you come back for trial, or you won't get your money back. The bail bondsman won't get his money back, and he'll come and hunt you down with a bounty hunter. So that can be dangerous. But you get out of jail. So that's one way. Or two ways, really. And another way is a personal recognizant bond, which just means, hey, court, I promise I'll show up. You have my word. You can trust me. So it really depends. Most people aren't out just on a personal recognizant bond. It really depends on severity of the crime. And if they are, a lot of times they have a ankle monitor or something of that sort. And those ankle monitors, if you cut them or tamper with them, it gets an alert, and they're tracking you pretty fast. And especially for Sam Bankman-Fried at his level, then they're coming really fast. So the terms of his personal recognizant bond were agreed to by prosecutors. The 30-year-old will face next hearing on January 3rd. A recognizant bond is just him saying, I'll be there. The bond was secured by equity in his family home. So his parents were saying, hey, we'll put the family home up if for some reason you flee. So that's, no son is going to want to flee and his own parents lose their house. So his own parents are putting up his house, and by signatures of his parents and two other individuals with considerable assets. So not only would his family lose the house, these two other individuals probably will lose their house. They'll lose their vacation homes, their yachts, whatever assets they have, because it says considerable. I would love to see exactly what type of assets they put up. In addition to the $250 million package, the former crypto billionaire would also be required to wear an electronic monitoring bracelet. So like I mentioned, a lot of times you have a GPS, electronic monitoring bracelet, submit to mental health counseling. So I guess during pretrial bond, he has to go to mental health counseling. That's usually not something that is required. It's usually required only for probation, to complete your probation after you've been convicted or pled to a sentence. And restrict himself to travel within and between the Northern District of California and the Southern and Eastern Districts of New York. So he can only travel between Northern District of California and Southern and Eastern District of New York. So that is, they're complete opposite sides of the country. So within, in between. So he has to stay in between there, not just within those districts. He can go in between them. Judge Gabriel said Bankman-Fried would require strict supervision following his release to his parents' home. Honestly, they probably have a crew that just surveillances him because of how high level this is. That I would not be shocked if that was the case. His parents, both Stanford law professors, so they're probably pretty well connected. He said 2 other individuals with considerable assets earlier. So they were present in the courtroom. Bankman-Fried was flanked by 2 U.S. Marshals dressed in a blue suit and brown shoes. Bankman-Fried entered in ankle shackles as well, but traded them for ankle monitor while in the courtroom. He only spoke when the judge asked him if Bankman-Fried understood the consequences of breaking his bail agreement. Yes, I do, he told the judge. He's also barred from opening any new lines of credit for more than $1,000. I don't know why he would need to open up any lines of credit, but I guess that's the case. He might have to go to a lot of different places to get more than $1,000. Bankman-Fried had previously claimed that he was down to mere $100,000. A steep fall from grace for a man who was once at the head of a $32 billion crypto empire. So yeah, he said he's only down to $100,000. That is not much at all compared to what he was worth. So what happened to that money? Let me know in the comments. Do you think the judge should have let him out on bail, especially personal recognizant and some assets that definitely don't equal $250 million? I'd be surprised if all of the assets that they put up did. That'd be very impressive for 2 law professors and or Stanford professors and some other individuals with considerable assets. But let me know if you think the judge was right or correct in allowing him to get out of jail right now while he waits for his trial, and whether he might flee. Let me know what you think, and we'll keep up with the story. Check out this next video right here.